Hello, in this video I'm going to show you some features of DIVEX. So here I have Visual Studio open and DIVEX is installed, and here I defined a static class called module1 and it has a method called subtract. It takes two integers a and b and it returns a minus b. Now using DIVEX I can treat this method as a function like this. So here using IntelliSense, I can choose the generate surrogate class completion item, and then I can use IntelliSense again to select the function here. So a surrogate class is a way for DIVEX to support treating static methods as functions. So here we have a class called module1 inside the program class, which is a surrogate for DIVEX demo.module1, which is this class here, right? Okay. Now if I hover over this variable, here I'm getting the signature of this function. Now one thing I can do with this function is to fix the value of one of its parameters by using partial application. For example, I can click on this b parameter and click apply. And this will simply generate this piece of code for me. Now here I can fix the value of b, for example, to be 3, right? So now subtract has only one parameter a, and it will return a minus 3. Now this is called the apply operator in DIVEX, and it allows you to partially apply any parameter inside the function by using its name. Now I can invoke this function like this. Okay. And here it wrote -1. Okay. Now let me show you the second feature I want to demonstrate in this video, which is related to dependency injection for object-oriented programming. So I have pasted some code that I prepared before, and basically here I have a report generator class. It has 3 dependencies: a logger, a document getter, and then a destination folder to write the report. And this class has a generate method. When we call it, it first logs and then loops through the document IDs to generate the report, and then writes the report to the destination folder. Now for the document getter interface, I have a single implementation here that takes a connection string as a dependency and a logger. And for the logger, I have 2 implementations: a file-based logger that writes to the file system, and then a console logger to write to the console. Now let me show you how we can compose these objects with DIVEX. Okay, so DIVEX allows me to treat a constructor as a function using this method. Now if I hover over this variable, here it says that this is a function that takes a logger, a document getter, a destination folder, and returns the report generator. And because this is a function, I can treat it as such, and I can use many of the DIVEX operators, like the apply operator I showed you before. For example, I can apply this parameter and fix its value. Right? And now this will have only the 2 remaining parameters. But this is not what I'm going to do here. Now what I want to do, I want to fix the value of this document getter dependency. I can use the apply operator like I did before, but that would require a constructed instance of a document getter, which I don't want to supply now. Instead, I'm going to use the replace operator. But instead of using this menu here, I'm going to write replace here to show you that you don't have to use that menu. So here I'm going to replace the document getter parameter with the constructor of document getter. And let me explain exactly what this means. So before, when we used apply to fix the value of a parameter, we must give the apply operator a constructed instance or a constructed value, right? But here, using the replace operator, I'm providing a function that knows how to construct a document getter, because this setter of document getter is a function. it takes a connection string and a logger and it returns document getter. So basically using this replace operator, I'm telling this function how to obtain a value for document getter. I'm not giving it a constructed instance of document getter. And that's the difference between apply and replace. Now because document getter requires a connection string and a logger, if I hover over this create variable, now there are two extra parameters, the connection string and the logger. And these two parameters come from the document getter. That is, this first logger parameter is for the report generator, and this destination folder parameter is also for the report generator, but these two are for the document getter. So basically what I did here, I was able to tell the report generator to use the document getter class as a value for its dependency, the document getter dependency, without having to provide the dependencies of document getter that are needed to construct document getter. Basically, I delayed the decision of which values to use for such dependencies to a later moment, right? So now when I invoke the create function, I need to pass 4 values, right? And this allows me to invoke the create function multiple times, each time passing different values for these 4 parameters. One thing you might have noticed about this function is that it has 2 parameters named logger, right? And DIVEX functions are allowed to have 2 parameters with the same name, and here the parameters are in red for that reason. Now one thing that you might want to do is to join these parameters. Okay, I can here join by type. Okay, so join by type is another DIVEX operator, and it allows it to join similar parameters of a function based on type. So now if I look at the create function, it only has a single parameter called logger, and the value we provide now for this logger parameter will be used as a value for the logger dependency in this class and also in this class. Okay. So now I can use the replace operator again to specify a value for the logger. Now if I hover over this function, it requires a file path, a connection string, and a destination folder. These parameters will go into constructors of different classes, and it might be confusing to know which parameter goes to which class. What you can do here is click on a parameter and then track destination. And here you can know the destination of the parameter. And if you think one parameter is not understandable, you can also rename it. For example, I know the file path is for the logger, so what I can do here, I can come to the constructor of the logger here and then rename the parameter. I can rename this parameter to file path for logging. Now once I do that and hover over create here, the parameter name here is file path for logging, and this will help me understand this parameter. So now I can create instances of this object graph using the create function, and each time I can use different values for these parameters. So one thing you might want to do is to construct 2 instances of this object graph, but have each instance use a different logger. So what I can do here, I can extract this into a variable, right? And now this create function will use a file logger. Then I can create another function to use a console logger, like this. So now instances created using this function will use a console logger. So let me show you another example where you might want to use a different logger for the 2 different classes. So here this create3 function has 2 logger parameters. In order to use 2 different loggers, I can come here to the first constructor and rename the logger parameter. And do the same thing here, rename this logger parameter. Okay, so now we have 2 logger parameters, but they have different names, and this allows us to distinguish them. Now I can use this create3 function and I can replace each individual logger. So now this create4 function, it will use the file logger for the document getter and the console logger for the report generator. Okay, so the value of this technique is that it allows you to fix certain things about your object graph while leaving other things as parameters to the last possible moment. So for example here, I fixed the fact that I want to use a file logger for the document getter and a console logger for the report generator, right? But I left the values for these dependencies unfixed so that I can specify them at a later moment. Okay, thank you for watching. In this video I showed you some of the features of DIVEX. For more information, see the knowledge base in the website divex.dev. Thank you.